Some of the most powerful people God ever used were never heard from and never celebrated. Have you ever stopped to think about how many stories have been lived but never told? How many names have crossed the centuries in the pages of the Holy Scriptures, but almost no one knows who they were? What if one of the most important women in Scripture was almost completely erased from history? Today, we're going to talk about one of those women, a queen, a mother, a quiet influence that changed the destiny of an entire people. Her name? Naoma. She never spoke a recorded word in Scripture, yet she changed the destiny of a nation. Naoma appears in the Holy Scriptures only twice, two very brief mentions. But behind that silence lies a powerful story. She was the wife of a king who fought against idol worship, the mother of another king who served the living God with all his heart. And even though she has no book or chapter dedicated to her, no spotlight, no detailed narrative, Naoma prepared a heart for the Lord. If you've ever served God in silence and wondered if it mattered, this story is for you. And here is a truth few people realize. Sometimes the greatest legacies are born in obscurity. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to show you something that will change the way you see the forgotten women of the Scriptures, something that will make you rethink the value of your own silence before God. This is the story of Naoma, the forgotten queen who prepared a heart for the Lord. Here is the shocking part. Scripture mentions her only twice, but those two lines changed everything. There is a very particular kind of being forgotten. It's not completely disappearing, but the kind that leaves only a shadow, a faint trace, a mention so brief you have to stop and read it again just to be sure it's really there. Naoma is exactly like that. When you open the Holy Scriptures to the first book of Kings 11:37, you find something like this. Caleb was 29 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 32 years in Sinhar. His mother was Naoma, daughter of Jeriel. That's it, just that. Then in 1 Chronicles 4:21-22, she appears again, but only as a genealogical detail, almost lost among countless other names. Twice. Her name is mentioned only twice in all of Scripture. No words, no miracles, no prophecies, no public achievements. But absence of detail does not mean absence of importance, because while Scripture says very little about Naoma, it says everything about the impact of her life. She was the mother of Caleb, and Caleb didn't just rule, he became one of the most righteous kings Ardan ever knew. So we have to ask the question we cannot ignore. Who prepared this king's heart to serve the Lord? Who taught him, as a child, to walk in God's ways? Who was Naoma, really? Behind palace walls, a far more important battle was being fought, one no historian recorded. Imagine this with me for a moment. Not Jerusalem, but Sinhar, the capital of Ardan. Bright stone walls, cedar columns scented with resin, courtyards filled with advisors and soldiers, politics, alliances, threats. And at the center of it all, a woman. Naoma was no peasant. She was queen, the wife of King Elram. She lived inside power and under its crushing weight. Being queen didn't mean comfort. It meant responsibility, spiritual expectation, public scrutiny. And yet, while others fought wars in public, Naoma fought one in private. Scripture tells us nothing about her personality, but it shows us her fruit. She raised a son more faithful to God than his own father. That does not happen by accident. This is where Naoma's story becomes dangerous and powerful. Elram was not a passive king. He destroyed idols. He tore down corrupt religion. He even removed his own mother from power for leading the nation into sin. And Naoma was his wife. The most important spiritual war in this story wasn't fought on a battlefield. It was fought in a living room. Elram ruled a kingdom. Naoma ruled a household. Together they built a home where God was feared, not just spoken about. And that is where Caleb grew. No righteous leader appears out of nowhere. Someone always prepares the heart first. Naoma's words aren't recorded, but her work is. Caleb walked faithfully. He did not turn aside. Why? Because someone planted the seed. Someone watered it. Someone guarded it. That someone was a mother. This is where Naoma's story stops being about her and starts being about you. Naoma had no platform, no recognition, no applause, but she had a son who honored the Lord, and that is an eternal legacy. What if your quiet obedience today becomes someone else's testimony generations from now? God does not measure your life by visibility. He measures it by faithfulness. Naoma was forgotten by history, but remembered by God. And if you are living faithfully in silence, God sees you too.